the Finance and Economic Development Committee of June 2022. With me is Councilman Jonathan Smith. Councilman McCarthy is absent, but we do have our Finance Director, Amber Rathburn, Deputy Finance Director, Kayla Trego, and gracing us with her presence up here is our Law Director, Kate Tendredel. Thanks, Kate.
Anytime.
Making this guy happy.
I'm so happy you're this happy.
It's the little things.
Yeah, it's the little things. Yes. Smile pretty. First thing is the probably the minutes from.
No objections.
No objections there, so we can move right on. And certificate of estimated revenues.
Okay, this is a housekeeping item. Every year we have to submit to Wood County our estimated balances for the end of the current year, and then an estimate of what we think we will collect next year. So already we're looking at 2023. There's a summary sheet and also the breakdown. This is due by July 20th this year to the county. And again, it's just estimates at this time and kind of a housekeeping item that the county requires us to do.
Now this I did have a chance to look over, and I even picked Amber's brain on a couple of things, but I'm gonna I know you've been through this several times before. Does it look good to you?
It's pretty much housekeeping at this
It
point,
is.
so there's really nothing.
Yeah, right.
It's just
there's
something we kind of have to get done and get out
estimate,
there. So
right?
That's
And they're all estimations anyway. So okay,
nothing really holds us
we can.
tied down.
And
to it,
there's,
so.
but this isn't any kind of a legislation. Is this-
Yes.
Yep.
So we
There
want to.
is.
All right.
Yep.
And is it
should
emergency?
be in your packet, the one with
The one I just
staple.
got.
Yep.
Okay.
There
All
is
right, here we go.
legislation.
Mark, I am asking that you pass it as an emergency.
Oh, okay.
because of the 20th due date, so that we're well within time.
All right. Sound good to you, Jonathan?
Yeah.
All
We're
right.
gonna have our next council meeting until the 28th, so.
Yeah,
it should be-
2-0, so it's not much of an emergency, but okay, we'll go 2-0, and that's gonna go right on through. All right. And now the property liability insurance renewal. This is something we do annually, right?
This is something we do annually. I was expecting to go out for proposals, basically. Was expecting to get back 3 quotes. I had talked to Barnum and Flower and Highland and Welch. I only received one proposal. It is from Highland. We've been with them since 2004. They use the Ohio plan. A lot of other cities in the area also are insured by them. They did come in last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, met with Bridget, Kayla, Kate and I, went through a lot of the details. There's an increase. It's about $20,000. I was expecting some type of increase. What did they tell us? Our rate only went up 3%.
It's not bad for the way the market is
Right. However, they look at our budget, they look at our number of employees, they look at our property values, and they've all gone up. So it's not the rate, it's what we have insured, basically. One thing that they did add is replacement cost for police vehicles. So it will be at current replacement cost, not the depreciated value of the vehicle. So that's good. We went through in detail our schedules. Some things we removed, some things we added. We're comfortable that it's more accurate than it had been previously. Spent a lot of time on that. That's about.
They increased all the property values by 5%?
Everything needed to go up just
Because
because our
everything's
property
so
values are up.
expensive.
Right now.
Basically inflation.
Okay.
I wonder if that's even enough, at 5%, how things have been going up in cost.
So they did do that, but we also have an aggregate, so they're comfortable that we do have enough coverage. We talked about doing, what do they call it? An audit. And this had been on my list anyway, to look at the values of the buildings, because honestly, it was probably done years and years ago, and then, they added or decreased based on inflation and other factors. So I would like to see our main buildings, they do have a system, I forget what they called it, that they could run it through MSB, I believe, for values of any of our buildings that are over $1 million, just to see that we're close, and anything that needs adjusted, we can do. They can also be more specific with an audit and valuation of the buildings. So that's something that we may adjust later. But for right now, yeah, they, as Kayla said, they did. Go ahead and add the 5% to everything for now.
Didn't realize we had 4 drones.
Well,
Yeah, those are new.
Yeah, I saw, because I've seen where they've been going to training. There's been a lot of officers going to drone training, so I kind of seen.
Glad we got those listed, because that's a whole different liability.
It is. There was a whole separate section we
Yeah.
had to fill out for that. Yeah.
Now-
The other thing is cyber. We are at $1 million.
I'm gonna ask that question.
I know. That is the most that we can get through Highland.
Okay.
However, we also got an application from them, and I completed it, got the mayor to sign it, we sent it back, for coverage for social engineering. We don't have anything back yet, but just to see what coverages are out there, what we can get, what the premiums would be on those. So depending on what that comes back at, we'll talk internally and then let you know.
So the question I'm gonna have on the cyber
Okay.
security coverage here, know that most of these companies, especially when you start in the $1 million range, has specific requirements when it comes to steps we're supposed to take.
And we went through several of those, and they were happy with our responses. We even
Okay.
had Gary from IT.
Okay.
He was there. One of the big ones, I don't want to get into a lot of it, was Duo. We use Duo. It's an app for the, what is it?
multi-factor.
Thank you. Yes. We do use that. That was a
Okay.
big one. They talked to Gary about some more specific things that
That's
IT-wise
really
are above my head. So, but yeah, they had specific questions, and we're happy with the responses.
I just realized I left some of my notes sitting on my desk, but I'll try to pull up some of my, because I know municipalities are one of the #1 targets when it comes to cyber attacks.
Yes.
And one of the attacks that comes into mind, and this is still not the right one, I can't find my note, but one of the attacks that comes into mind is Baltimore. Baltimore was hit several years ago. And what I would love to know on this as well, and I gotta find my place again. I am way lost and out of touch here. I don't even know what happened to the proposal. So Baltimore got hit, and it ended up costing about $16 million once everything was done and done to do all the repairs. So that's really where one of my concerns is. That was definitely one of the bigger ones. And I just wonder, I know that millions is the most that they can get, and you're talking about social engineering, so I believe that would be someone,
In addition.
yeah, someone trying to convince their way into getting access to systems. What I'm curious about, though, is there an excess cyber liability coverage we might be able to look into, just add additional coverage onto there, knowing that, given everything that's going on in Ukraine right now, Russia has made some threats that they were going to start trying to go after groups and governments that were in support of the Ukraine effort through cyber methods. Knowing that the United States is a big supporter of Ukraine, and I believe that our council has shown big support as well. Short of resolution, obviously, but we've had individuals come to talk about it, that we could potentially see ourselves as a target. And my only question is that going to be enough to sufficiently cover? I would love to know as well what the limits are for, this is something you don't have to talk on the public record on, but questioning it back is limits for ransomware, how that coverage is, and make sure that we have a game plan in place for that as well, because that's a big one that is happening as well right now
$1
too.
million just seems a little outdated right now, if that's their
It
limit.
does, and actually, I was at a meeting today with Huntington Bank, who we use, and it came up there, we talked a lot about fraud and where your highest risks are, and they said that they also have seen lately that their other customers can't get coverage over $1 million. So it's not like it's us.
Yeah.
But I know that Highland does use, different companies. So I can see what else that they can offer and how they would integrate coverages together. The bank said that one of their largest, what they see it in is checks.
Yeah. And that should be something that would be potentially covered here with the electronic, I think the media liability side.
Yep.
But that is, we have looks like a $2,500 deductible, or 25,000, I should say. So we're still responsible for that first amount. But it's very easy, and I know Lucas County got hit with someone with that social engineering with getting them to send checks.
Right.
And it's something that happens close to here and something that happens all over. And my only concern is $1 million enough for this? I have the utmost trust in our IT with Gary and everyone else.
Right.
But you could have everything right,
And still.
and all it takes is, myself as a council member, open up the wrong email and someone gets into the
How do you
system.
even anticipate how much damage it could do?
It's about making sure you have the right, because I know that the coverage would pay, I'm assuming this is the case, but they would pay to have a forensic team come in to investigate.
Right.
And they would,
Forensic accounting and, yeah.
so there'd be a whole slew of people who would come in under this.
Yeah.
And $1 million is almost towards the 50 percentile of where these claims are.
Can a company, a forensic, I'm just speaking here, I probably don't know what I'm asking here, but can somebody bond us in that way where somebody can come and look at our security on it and say, yes, we know it's this so safe that we can bond you for this much?
It wouldn't be a bond, we might be able to find through Highland or another company, just to add some excess cyber liability, because there's a lot of carriers, I think under Lloyd's of London might do it, I don't know off the top of my head, but there's a lot of them that will do monoline cyber coverages that you can add on.
Yeah, we'll see what.
But I would just be curious to see what the cost is.
Right.
The one thing that just has me scared the most is what Baltimore paid, but Baltimore made a decision that not to pay the ransom, and they went and just wiped the whole system and had to rebuild the whole thing. So it's just,
Can you imagine?
and hearing that number, although that's on probably the higher spectrum, you look at how much we have set for our balance and our estimated budget for what we just passed is $11 million, and that can go real quick in one fell swoop on that. So that's just my biggest fear, is that that's not enough when we have the higher liability limits and everything else but that spot, so.
Yep, we'll see what we can find out.
Any other questions on?
No, otherwise, I know that Ohio Fair Plan's a good package for municipalities. There really isn't too many that want to insure municipalities for some reason.
Nope, and I thought I was, like I said, I was expecting 2 other proposals and, no.
And Amber made a point to me earlier about being with them so long, we probably get some sort of a
Yeah, we
break
do
in
get
price.
an advantage
Yes.
credit, it's like $13,000. And the other thing that they have new this year, our police and fire departments use Lexipol for training and other things. And they have like pricing through them where the first year we get half of our premium that we pay to Lexipol back, and then 30% and then 20%. So we should be receiving around $10,000 back. Yeah, so that's a plus too,
Makes up half of the
increase.
increase, yeah.
That's true.
Great. Well, we move on to number 4 then, that's, unless you have
Forward.
more. Oh, we do have to,
We do have legislation, and it also is an emergency,
all right.
as it renews July 1st.
I don't have an issue with moving forward. I just would love to see us look at some additional
Anything
coverage.
extra?
Everyone slow us down then, okay. Now we'll go 2-0 on that, correct? All right. Now we'll move on to and finance director's report. First thing is the expenditures over 5,000. I just see one that I just don't, there was one for 10,000, maybe I just don't know exactly what backdoor repair. So-
The Vector is a sewer
Oh,
item.
is that,
The
okay.
big equipment
Something I
that
didn't know if it was something I should know.
it
The back
cleans
truck?
out the suit.
Oh, that's the
That-
back truck,
Yes.
okay. I didn't know it was
Yep.
called a back door.
That's what it is.
All righty, great, that's fine. Yeah, that's a very, very
Basic
needy machine.
item,
yeah.
yes.
And was, yeah, very much need that, okay. That was the only thing I didn't recognize down here. Did you see anything on that list, Jonathan?
I'm trying to get it pulled up. I thought I had it
Oh,
printed off here unless I missed it.
might be in.
Is it page 9?
It might not be in the printed.
Okay. I was-
Sorry.
I remember looking
I think it
through
was
it,
with the
but
agenda, might have been.
In the earlier email.
everything looked pretty much.
Yeah,
Same as
it's
what
all
it
stuff
usually
we've
is.
seen before.
The
And,
the only question I had, and I know Steve's not here to answer it, is regarding that large payment that the city has received.
Yes.
Any updates on that?
There is no updates on that. We're still waiting to hear back from the state. There was one for 1.2 million and one for 200,000. So the numbers that you see on Steve's report are high by about 1.4.
It's very misleading with.
It is, but, and also some of it is tiny. Even when you take off the 1.4 million, it's still, our increase is significant over last year, same time period. We did do a lot better this year, we believe, getting in the receipts as they came in. We had a part-time person for a while, and that really helped. So I think June's not gonna look as good. And it's timing, but overall, we're doing well.
Getting back to this list,
Yes.
I was waiting till after you have your new software in place to ask this question. If there's a way that when we see some of these expenditures, and I know there's a lot of times we've asked, was this for, and say, oh, you might remember that you passed this resolution on this date and this date. Is there a way that you can add a column with it and tell us if I see something that would help me remember when we?
Right, with the current system, no. However, today in one of our trainings with the software, we were talking about the new PO and what the format's gonna look like and what's gonna be on it. And we did discuss being able to put the resolution number, ordinance number that was passed to reference that somewhere. So either on the PO or in our actual payment field, we will have it. Yes. Yep. So
What I like about that, because some of these might be from 6, 8 months ago that we passed, and it's finally getting around to spending it. And then we can look at, oh yeah, I remember that, and then it'll save us a couple questions.
Yeah, well, I
For you.
even made notes on some of them, myself, in case it would come up as a question tonight of
Okay.
when some of these were passed. So absolutely, it will be a field in our new system, and
Great, we'll look forward
we'll
to
be able
that.
to report out.
Health insurance fund looks pretty healthy.
It sure does.
Yeah.
That's going well, nothing significant there. The balance at the end of May was $642,000. Not expecting anything
Well, you
major.
look back a year, what a difference a year
Yep.
makes, huh?
And it's just so hard to predict.
No, well, of
Claims.
course, like anything else.
Claims driven, so
Mhm.
this year's, we're doing well so far.
Some questions on that? Jonathan,
Nothing on that.
other business?
The only other business, I was wondering if we've heard anything about the bill that's going through the State House regarding the Airbnbs and what local municipalities can do. I know
I
it's been
have
dropped.
not heard anything about that. I was following a different one that went into effect on Monday
Oh.
this week a little more closely. So I will do a little research. and
Okay,
let
I just
you
know that's something that's come up a couple times, I think, in the CVB.
Yeah, we're actually just talking about that in CVB, that probably you ought to think about treating those like a hotel, if they're,
But we have
We do by code treat Airbnbs like a hotel.
okay?
The issue is really tracking and reporting.
Yeah.
Because there's no good system to do that. You can go online to Perrysburg Airbnb, but you can't guarantee those are all in the city. They may be in the township.
Oh,
So then we'd have to have somebody who had time to go out and talk to those people and find out if they're really, so it's something that is discussed internally pretty regularly. And it's really a monitoring issue, more than it is.
See that? Yeah.
And our code allows for us to tax those. The code is already drafted. We don't even need a code change.
Okay.
It's just a monitoring issue. How do we find them?
Sure, so many of them have Perrysburg addresses, but they could be in
Excuse me.
a township,
Absolutely, absolutely.
different townships.
You know the bill number?
I do not know that off the top of my head. I got too many numbers in my head.
It was like 5 rooms and above.
I don't actually think it's 5. I think we're okay with less, but I'll double check.
I have an email from OML I can send you. It has the bill number.
Thank you.
Anything else under good of the Finance Committee?
Nope, I'm good.
Mr. Hagan, nothing from you? Okay. We'll call us adjourned then.